Alright everybody, it's time to rank the Critters franchise. I just reviewed all 5 of them in the last month. I'll leave a card for the franchise review playlist that you can check out. I would appreciate it. And that's where you'll get all my in-depth thoughts about all 5 of these movies. This will just be very quick, brief little likes and dislikes about each movie, about why they're at the number that they're at. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about these movies. I already talked about them 25 minutes each in my reviews. So let's just get this thing started, and let's start at the bottom with number 5, and that is Critters 3. The biggest problem with this movie is just how boring, slow, and dramatic it is. There's hardly any critters in the movie. There's like two or three the entire film, which is ridiculous. And their screen time amounts to about 4 or 5 minutes. They do absolutely nothing different than they did in parts 1 and 2. They don't up the fun. They don't do anything remotely entertaining. It's a very small-scale film. It feels like it has like no budget to it. The characters are all shitty. You got the film debut of Leonardo DiCaprio. This was like his first film he ever did. And that's about the only interesting thing about it, is that it's like, hey, Leonardo DiCaprio. The rest sucks. So moving on to number 4 will be Critters 4. This has Brad Dourif, and he's the shining light in this movie. He's the best performance in it, and the only likable character, because it's like, hey, it's Brad Dourif. That's about it. All the other characters, again, not memorable. Very dramatic at times. This movie has yet another serious tone with such a stupid, silly premise. I mean, these critters cannot be taken seriously. It's supposed to be fun and lighthearted like the first two, but the third and fourth one went down this different avenue where they're like, let's take ourselves really serious. Let's try to make the next Alien movie. That's what this movie feels like. It's like a rip-off of Aliens, but critters, and only like 3 of them, again, like part 3. Not enough critters, not enough screen time, not enough personality to them anymore. They just got diminished as each film went on. The first 2 have the best critters, and then the rest, they just suck more and more and more. They don't do anything different here. They have things that get, introduced, like this thing that makes them bigger, and they use it and then don't do anything with it. It's just very disappointing, very lackluster sequel, so skip it. All right, number 3 on this list is a disappointing movie. I did not go in this with high expectations or anything. I just wanted to at least be funny. All the jokes in this movie were cringy. Critters Attack. I don't think I said it. Critters Attack. That's number 3. Jokes did not land in this movie. Bad, amateurish acting. Again, not likable characters, but they up the quantity of critters again, like part 2 is on par with part 2 with how many there are. They have a lot more screen time. There's lots of good critter gore. We have the return of Dee Wallace, which doesn't really get utilized to its fullest potential. She's barely in here, not in here enough. She's like in the bookends. She gets introduced, and then she comes into the film later on at the end of the 3rd act, like she's Sarah Connor and Dark Fate, just a badass with this ray gun. Cool, but not the best usage of her character. She barely speaks, and just overall a messy movie. Just poorly made, better made than 3 and 4, I'll say. Looks better than those movies because it's made today, so it has an advantage. But still, just a lackluster movie that's rated R. It's the only one that's rated R, and it doesn't even need to be R. It's just as bloody as like part 2. And part 2 actually has more on-screen carnage than this film, so it doesn't deserve its R, and it pisses me off. So, number 2 on this ranking will be the original Critters. These could go back and forth, 2 and 1, but 2 just has more fun, and that's what I like. An entertaining film. 1's entertaining. It's got that 80s charm to it, just like part 2. It's a even blend, the tone of like horror and comedy, PG-13, and you got Dee Wallace in here, Scott Grimes. I like the family angle that they take in this, and Billy Zane I think is in here too. The bounty hunters, the effects, the critter effects, just as good as they are in all the other sequels. I feel like the Critters looks in this franchise are consistent in all of them. Especially like 1 through 4, the look of them and how they move their mouth. Good effects by the Chiodo brothers, who did Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But this is just a fun family horror movie. It doesn't take itself too serious. It does have some darker moments, but overall it's just fun. So I recommend it. It's a overlooked movie, kind of a hidden franchise really that doesn't get a lot of attention, but I think Shout Factory recently did a collection release about a year or two ago, so I guess there are some fans out there. You just don't hear enough about this franchise. It's fun. I think it's just because Gremlins got there first, maybe, that it doesn't really get all the attention. So, which is a shame. This is just as fun as like Gremlins. But my number one is Critters 2 because it ups the fun, it ups the amount of critters there are, their screen time, their wackiness, their personality, all dialed to 11. This is just way more fun than the first one, and that's what I like. Even has a lot of nudity for a PG-13 movie. We got the bounty hunters who in this one do a lot more than they did in the first one, so I like that addition. The Playboy model bounty hunter. It's just so zany and fun, over the top, just corny as hell. And it works for me. It lands here where it did not land in Critters Attack. And I feel like that movie was really trying to go for this one. It has all these references to this one, but it failed to emulate this one completely. The Critter Ball gets introduced. This is the start of the Critter Ball. Awesome kill, and it like rolls over the guy and just eats all his flesh off very quickly. And I like that they set out on Easter and they kind of use that where they have like the critter eggs get decorated like Easter eggs, and then the Easter bunny guy gets killed. Just so fun. There's little nitpicks that I had that I said in my review, but just a very entertaining Critters movie. If I want to watch a Critters movie 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to put this one in. So out of all these films, if there's any of them that I can strongly recommend to you for just a silly fun time where you don't have to, think at all, it's not a smart movie at all. If you just want to have fun, watch Critters 2. It's the best one, in my opinion. So that's my Critters ranking. Put your ranking in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month to request movie reviews, and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.